Fourth grade lesson 2.3 is multiplying tens, hundreds, and thousands. This lesson is a nice one because it teaches you a really useful trick that will be useful to you all the time. So let's go ahead and get into this lesson and show you how to multiply tens, hundreds, and thousands. All right, in this lesson they show us two ways how to do this. The first way is a modeled way, and the second way I'll show you in a minute. Our brains work differently, so some of you the first way will work better than the other way, and some of you the other way will work better. Either way, seeing it modeled helps us kind of make sense of things anyway. So our essential question, how does understanding place value help you multiply tens, hundreds, and thousands? We worked on place value, the ones place, tens place, hundreds place, thousands place, and on, each being 10 more than the one before. So we'll be utilizing that skill to solve these big number questions. This says each car on a train has 200 seats. How many seats are on the train with 8 cars? So 8 times 200. This is 200 added to itself 8 times because there's 8 cars. There's 200 seats on a car, and there's 8 cars. So we would be adding 200 to itself over and over again 8 times, the shortcut for that being multiplication. 8 times 200, or 200 times 8. Well, when we talked about place value, we said that we can have, we can change this to 1600s because 8 times 2 is 16, and that would be 1600s. So what they've modeled here is 10 hundreds will always equal 1,000, and we have 10 hundreds here, and then 6 hundreds more. So that's a total of 16 hundreds. And we know that 10 100s make 1,000, and 6 100s make 600. And when you put those together, 1,000 plus 600, you're going to end up with 1,600, also known as 1,600. So that's one way they showed us, but I think most of you will will make sense of it the second way, tied to this way. So let's look at the another way on this page. And you'll find that this way is pretty similar to the last way, we just don't have the pictures in there. So we learned that we could do 8 times 200 as 8 times 2 hundreds as words. Hundreds is the place value. And we know that 8 times 2 is 16, so we could now call it 16 hundreds. And we can write 1600 as 1600, and that is also known as 1,600. We learned in place value that we can call 1600s 1,600. We can call 1,600 1600s. And we learned that in the previous chapter. So we can use that skill. 8 times 200s, 8 times 200s, 8 times 2 is 1600s, and then we end up with 1600, also known as 1,600. So there's 1,600 seats on the train with 8 cars. We're going to play with those tens, hundreds, and thousands values a little bit so our brains can adapt to this understanding. And as we go through this, you're going to really notice that there's a lot of patterns involved, and in math there's usually a lot of patterns involved. Makes it helpful. We could use a number line. They're going to show us how we can use a number line to kind of solve these tens, hundreds, thousands, and they give us an example problem. Bob's sled shop rents 4,000 sleds each month. How many sleds does the store rent in 6 months? Underline the question. Circle the information they gave us. 4,000 sleds in 1 month. How many in 6 months? So you're probably now getting to a point where you recognize that's 4,000 in 1 month. And so how much would that be in 6 months? And that would be 4,000 times 6, right? And that would tell us how many. Well, they said if we just look at the 4 and we jump over counting by 4s 6 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 times 4 is 24. If we do that as a multiple of 10, we would be counting by 40s So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we would get 240. Notice 1, 0, 1, 0. If we did that counting by 400s, 400, 800, 1200, and we did that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we would get 2,400. 6 times 400 is 2,400. Notice 2 zeros, 2 zeros. 6 times 4, 24, with 2 zeros on the end. In this case, we needed to count by 4,000s. So here we're counting by 4,000s. 3 zeros there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 4 is 24, with 3 zeros on the end, 3 zeros on the end. That pattern can be utilized for us so that we can just move those zeros over. So Bob's sled shop rents 24,000 sleds in 6 months. And they're telling us here, use patterns. Notice the patterns and how they work. If our basic fact is 3 times 7 equals 21, then 3 times 70 with 1 0 on the end equals a 21 with 1 0 on the end, 210. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 700 with 2 zeros on the end is going to be the 21 with 2 zeros on the end, also known as 2,100. We could call that 2,100 or 2,100. 3 times 7,000 is going to still be that 3 times 7 is 21, but with 1, 2, 3 zeros on the end. 1, 2, 3 zeros on the end. Bring that comma in 3 spots, and that is 21,000. So this pattern you'll end up letting your brain get used to, and then once your brain is used to it, it's a super nice skill to have. Basic facts with 0 again. We have 8 times 5 is 40. Be careful because that's a 0 at the end. This is part of the basic fact, so we have to be real careful on this. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 50 is 40 plus the 0 on the end, making that 400. 8 times 500, well, we have the basic fact of 8 times 5, which we know is 40, with the 2 zeros on the end. We need to add both zeros. That means 8 times 500 is 4,000. 8 times 5,000 is 8 times 5 basic fact of 40, with 1, 2, 3 zeros attached over here, meaning that 8 times 5,000 is 40,000. All right, we are on the share and show. This is the part where you try it, pause my video, try it, and then play to see how you did, or play if you got stuck and you need to get unstuck. So let's take a look at number 1. Go ahead and pause it and try to do what they're doing. This may make sense to some of you. This may not make sense to some of you either, because this part probably made more sense to you too. So it's okay, just give it a shot. All right, so if you got stuck here, on this we're going to do that 2 times 5 is 10. And so we're going to need 10 hundreds blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hundreds, those flats, right, that we did with place value, 10 hundreds flats. And what we know is 10 hundreds makes 1,000. And we used all 10 of those hundreds, so we have all 1,000. So 2 times 500 is 1,000. All right, let's try number 2. Go through the pattern on number 2 and let's see how you do. All right, let's see how you did. We have the basic fact of 3 times 8 is 24. So if we did 3 times 80, we're going to do 3 times 8, which is 24, with 1 0 on the end. So 3 times 80 is 240. What if I'm doing 3 times 800? I'm still going to take my basic fact of 3 times 8, which is 24, and then I'm going to take those 2 zeros for the 100 and put them on the end of that, making this number 2,400. 3 times 800 is 2,400, or 2,400, sometimes people will say. What about 3 times 8,000? Take your basic fact, 3 times 8, which is 24, and then take those 1, 2, 3 zeros and put them here. So 3 times 8,000 is 24,000. Let's Let's try this one. Go ahead and pause it and try it. All right, we had 6 times 2 as 12 as our basic fact. So 6 times 20 is going to be the 6 times 2 basic fact with the 0 on the end. 6 times 20 is 120. 6 times 2 is 12 with the 2 zeros on the end, making 6 times 200, 1200 or 1200. It's said both ways. 6 times 2000, it's going to be our basic fact of 6 times 2 is 12 with 1, 2, 3 zeros on the end, 1, 2, 3 zeros on the end, and that is 12,000. Try number 4, see how you do. Okay, let's see how you did. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 5 is 20 with this 0 on the end, meaning 4 times 50 is 200. 4 times 500 is going to be the 4 times 5 being 20 with 2 more zeros on the end, making 4 times 500, 2,000. 4 times 5,000 will be 4 times 5, which is 20, with 3 zeros on the end, 1, 2, 3, making 4 times 5,000, 20,000. Hopefully that's clicking into place nicely for you. Kind of nice, isn't it? Here they want us to find the product, and they're showing us you could use the words. That kind of helps you out, and then change it back into numbers. So we have 6 times 500, that is 6 times 500, so we'll write the 500s there. 6 times 5 is 30, that means we're getting 30 hundreds, and to write 30 hundreds, I write it 30 hundreds, and technically that becomes 3,000. So if that helps you more than that, that works for you too. 9 times 5,000, we're going to turn that 5,000 into words. This is 9 times 5,000. 9 times 5 is 45, and we have the 1,000, 45,000, 45,000 is your answer there. Hopefully that's making sense to you. If you're needing more practice with that, we can do that in the classroom. If that makes sense to you, then it looks like your group is ready to move on to Think Central and show that you've got it. Good luck.